Game-Changing Dads, where we encourage husbands and fathers to lead, love, and live. Game on!
Hey, Henry. Welcome to Game Changing Dads.
Hey, Ray. How you doing?
Dude, what is up, dude? I love your shirt, man. I know I'm going to ask you for your life story, but what are you currently doing right now? And tell us about your shirt.
Okay, yeah. Right now, I'm a real estate investor. I do several things in real estate. I'm actually a real estate agent, what they also call a realtor. I do wholesaling, and I'm doing flips right now. And I'm actually going to start doing buy and holds, also what we call rental properties. My shirt is just something I wear whenever I go and look at a house. It's got website, phone number where somebody can reach me, and then what I do is just a basic, what they call a walking bandit sign, basically. And yeah, there you go. Just like what Ray's wearing. And so, people have a house or a property that they're looking to sell as is. They can see the shirt. They can go to my website, look me up. They can call the number. And I also do it when I'm going to look at properties too, so they know that I am who I say I am. They can look it up and verify credentials, all that kind of good stuff. So, I've been doing real estate investing for 2.5 years now. Went full time last year. So
Excellent.
Yep.
Well, cool. Look, well, I don't want to steal your thunder, but what we're going to do, we're going to probably get into that in a little bit. But like I said, we're going to talk about self-promotion. I think that's huge. I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there. And over the last 2 months of Game Changing Dads, if you're tuning into your Alexa app or your iTunes or wherever, I mean, we're all over the place. We've been talking about the side hustle. So you've got it down pat. I don't know if you were a side hustle guy all your life, but let's do this. Give us a quick snapshot of where you grew up, kind of give us your life story. Tell us about your family, because it is Game Changing Dads. But we also have ladies here, so that messes up everything. But just give us a quick snapshot, and then we're going to roll from there. We're going to talk about your business, self-promotion, real estate, which I absolutely love, need to get back into. So just rock it, brother.
Okay. Oh, I'm originally from Houston, Texas. I was born, 1981. That's hard to believe. Born and raised there. I lived there for about, how long was I there? Probably 20 years before I went into the Navy. Went into the Navy 2001, became a submariner. So I graduated boot camp, went to school to become a submariner, and then I actually got stationed in Kings Bay. That was back in 2002. Met my wife shortly after that, about 4 months later. And I mean, I spent every single day with her, every since that I could, because we just fell in love really quickly. Then we got married a couple of years later. They made me go to the opposite side of the country right after I got married, tried to swap crews, and they wouldn't. I said, "Yep, I think I'm done after this." So 7 months I went to Bangor, Washington, and then got out, came and couldn't wait to get back home to my wife. And so I got out. I was unemployed for that summer afterwards, which was actually a lot of fun because my wife's a teacher and she had the summer off too. And so we had all the time in the world while I was applying for jobs to just do whatever. Then I got a job with JEA, and I started there in operations with in the power plants, and then I got into maintenance. Then I eventually went back to school and got a bachelor's of technology management and then a master's in business administration, and then moved on to risk analysis. But I got bored with that really quickly. And after being in the workforce for about 20 years, I realized I got to do something different. I felt God calling me to do something a little different. He said, Henry, I want to give you this wealth and this freedom that you want, but you're never going to do that working for somebody else. So it's at that point that I started doing the side hustle in real estate. I started learning. I took a course from a guy called Cody Sperber with Clever Investor. Learned how to do wholesaling, the basics of contracts and all that good stuff, deeds, how title works. And then I started learning. I got a mentor that he recommended locally. He was actually my first broker, and he was a real estate investor for 34 years. And he mentored me through my first flip, through the acquisition. And that was a great success. I made a 33% return, and really on not even my own money because I borrowed it. So that was the best. after that, I was like, man, this is awesome. Okay, I want to do this over and over again. So I got another flip, and then I got into wholesaling, which is a whole lot simpler. It's a lot faster money. Um, and you just got to kind of shift your strategy depending on the deal and just the state of the market. So that's a quick and dirty background on me. I'm doing it full time now. I quit my job with JA last year. That was a big step for me because, I'm a family guy. We've got a house. We have a family. We got kids that we provide for. So that was a huge step. That was a huge, scary step. But God had set us up really well to do that. We had a lot of savings, had great credit. So we were set up really well, but that was super scary step in my life. One of the probably the scariest things I've ever done is quit something that's just reliable. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let me say this real quick. Well, number one, congratulations. And you're 30, 38-ish?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
About to be 38 next month, that's crazy to me. Can't believe it.
Awesome. I know you look like you're like 25. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? That's sweet, dude. But
Thanks, man.
Doing the whole entrepreneur thing, man, I give you so much credit. Unfortunately, I've been doing it since I was 18. So let me ask you a question regarding, being a business owner, being an entrepreneur. Was there someone, and I'll share a little bit my story after you answer, but was there somebody early on where you just kind of looked at, whether they had their name on the side of the truck or, so-and-so has his own business, you're like, whoa, that's kind of a sweet deal. Was there someone in your life as a mentor, before you met, some of your investor buddies and things you're doing in real estate, but was there someone early on going, wow, man, he's like, what is a side hustle? Like he has his own business.
Yeah, that was actually the guy I bought the course from. Cody Sperber, Clever Investor. That's the name of his company. And actually, it came across my Facebook feed as one of his ads. And I mean, that just shows you how good of a marketer he is. He's really good at marketing and reaching out to people, and that's key. But yeah, I saw it. He's holding up all these checks, and he said, "Man, do you want to be able to do transactions in real estate with no money, literally no money down, and virtually no risk?" I'm like, okay, what's this all about? And I saw, he's standing in front of one of his fancy cars, which, to me, that's not what it's all about for me. For me, it's about the freedom and the wealth and the freedom to do what you want. So that's just a bonus if you have all that other stuff in the background and to be able to give back. But I saw that. I was like, okay, what's this? This is interesting. And, I was curious to see what the sales pitch was, how much it cost. And it was $500. I'm like, all right, I can do $500. And so I saw that. I saw what all the money and checks that he was holding up. I was like, good gosh. And I mean, he made that in a matter of days. And I was like, what in the world? How is he doing that so fast? Because I knew a little bit that flips take quite a while. That takes some time. And so I bought his course, learned the basics of real estate. Shortly after, got my real estate license, which you don't need to do what I'm doing, but it helps a lot. It's another tool in your belt. And like he recommended, I got me a local mentor just to show me the ropes. Somebody very, very experienced, show me the ropes of how you analyze deals and what to look for, how to make estimates. And so that's kind of what inspired me to take the next step. I believe God puts these things in your path for a reason. He wants to show you what he's got for you. He's got more for you than you have and even can imagine. So I took that step. I required some faith. That's for sure.
Amen. Especially, you going off a Facebook ad, which is pretty cool. Normally it's I shouldn't say normally, but most of the time it's a person that kind of inspires us a little bit just to rock the side hustle. Tell me, and I'm glad you brought that up. Talk about, and not due diligence regarding an investment or real estate, but due diligence. Okay. You see this guy online and I like to talk about due diligence because it's almost like I've had friends growing up in Philly. I don't want to mention any names, but every month. And he was like, dude, he's like, I found it. And then, dude, I found it. Dude, I found it. Until I really start sitting down with him. And I'm like, okay, what did you find? He's like, I found it, but way to make a bunch of money. Long story short, several people just got on, and this guy was just an easy sell, man. He was very naive, and it cost him and his family hundreds of thousands of dollars, and also credit card stuff, where they were promising, but they're like, hey, send me 10 grand. Hey, send me 15 grand. Oh, dude, yeah, what was it? When I saw 65% return, right? And I was an investor at the time, and I'm reading just this document and this weirdness, and I'm like, dude, you need to stop. Number one, I think you have a problem. Just, money, but things don't come easy. So let's talk about due diligence. Did you just like, yo, dude, yeah, I'm going to sign up. How much? Or did you do a little homework beside? And I kind of know the answer, but go for it.
Yeah, I did some homework for sure. I mean, I'm going to look them up. I look people up that I'm looking to buy from or work from. I'll look for reviews. I'll watch the entire intro video of what they do before I actually do anything. And then what I'm looking for is the price, because, if they want $5,000 for some course that's automated that I've got to watch and there's no mentorship involved, it's not worth it to me. If it's something that they can just shotgun blast to a bunch of people and people can decide whether they want to pay this amount, I'll decide. There's a certain point where I'm not willing to pay. But it's a little different when you're seeking a mentor, because when somebody's mentoring you, it takes time, and people's time, especially in real estate, is extremely valuable. They're busy doing deals, generating revenue. And so with that said, yes, I did my homework on anybody that I looked at after I saw that guy's course, and especially on him. And, I just felt like he was really genuine in all his videos and his introductions. And then I bought his course, and sure enough, he was very upfront, very genuine. He lays out all the details. He lays out what you need to do. And probably the hardest part for anybody is not just learning it and listening, but actually applying it. People will listen, they'll take in all the knowledge in the world, but then they'll actually are too lazy to apply it or do something with it. And so that's where they fail. They won't actually go get the mentor like they're told to. They won't actually do these things step by step. It's like, oh, it's just too much work. Well, maybe entrepreneurship's not for you. So you gotta figure that out first. Your mindset is key. I had to learn that from the get-go. Mindset, it's like, oh, should I spend this money here or there? Well, you've got to spend some to market and reach people. If you want to reach them a little easier and in mass quantities, you can still find deals and reach people without spending money, but it's a lot harder. It takes more time. So it's a sacrifice, either more time or more money, or a combination of both when you're doing this business.
Absolutely. And it's almost that fear of the unknown also.
Yes.
And I'll give you my quick story. So I was a big Robert Kiyosaki fan back in the day, met him several times, did a lot of his mentoring programs. He had a guy, Doppler Roos, that was investing all over. That's what I was talking about earlier. I almost bought a couple places in New Zealand where he was just rehabbing a whole condo place, which was cool. But he had a seminar, I think it was $3,000 out in Vegas. There happened to be a hockey tournament. It was almost like a catch-22. I can play hockey, go see Doppler Roos for like $3,000 for a weekend. But it's funny, just having the guts and getting over that fear block. There was a woman out there at this event. Her name was Cynthia Glickman, and I'll never forget this. So you can get, after the event, all the realtors were lined up, do deals in Vegas, do deals in Vegas. Hey, and a lot of it was getting into a property that's maybe in foreclosure, getting close to foreclosure, where we'll offer, hey, Henry, $1,000, you guys roll, we'll take over the mortgage. Not sure if you do stuff like that. But that was a biggie out there. And I remember I'm going through this room, and there was one gal standing all by herself, and there was hundreds of people there. And I literally rolled over, and I'm like, hey, my name's Ray. Like, what do you do here? She's like, well, I'm a realtor. And she says, let me be truthful. You're leaving tomorrow. She knew I was from Pennsylvania. She says, if you don't pull the trigger, this is where the whole fear comes in. If you don't pull the trigger now, in the next 24 hours, you just wasted $3,000. You wasted all the knowledge. You wasted everything. Because once that 24-hour window closes, you're done. I'll guarantee it. Now, she was about 10 years younger than me. And I'm just like, who in the world are you? Right? she's like, this is how it rolls. And she's like, I had people from California, and all of a sudden 2 days later, I don't feel like investing. She's like, here's the deal. I'll take you out before your flight tomorrow, which was the next day. I'll show you a great property. You give me $1,000. We'll put a down payment on it, pull the trigger, get it done. So the next day, long story short, I'm flying home, and I just put a down payment or $1,000 on a property. It was a build out for 6 months down the road, condo or whatever, 150 grand. And if I wouldn't have took that step, but the fear, dude, I'm like, what's my dad going to say? What's my mom going to, oh my goodness, I just bought a place in another state besides another country. But the fear, man, what was the fear like for you? Or did you just like, okay, man, it's, and God sometimes will just help you with that if you have that faith, like you said earlier. But how is that fear? Now, I don't know if you OPM, other people's money, but your first deal, walk us through a little bit. Because I know how my first duplex at 21, dude, I was freaking out.
Well, I'll start with the fear of, let me start with the fear of quitting my job first, and then I'll get into the fear of the first deal. Okay. So I had prayed. I was so bored to death at my job. Like I was ready to do anything. I was looking for ways to just do something different. And I knew real estate was the answer. So I had prayed to God to show me, God, when's the time to pull the trigger? Because I feel like you just don't want me here anymore. I'm bored to death. I'm not fulfilled in what I'm doing anymore. I mean, it paid great for a job, but it wasn't fulfilling. I didn't see me there long term. So I prayed for it. And one morning I came back from vacation. He showed me. And just to back up a little bit, I was trying to do my job full time, and real estate was on my mind the whole time. I'm trying to do a full time job and trying to do real estate on the side. And if we're being honest, there's no way you're going to do either one really well. Having a full time job or doing real estate, you got to pick one or the other. So God made me pick one morning when I came back. They said, look, I came in and they said, look, you're spending this time doing real estate. Also, we can tell that it's affecting you, so we need to discuss this further. And I'm like, all right, look, I'll just make this really easy for you. I'm going to have to resign. I'm not going to be able to pick one or the other. I can just tell you that right now. I'm picking real estate. And that was it. I mean, I walked out that morning, and it was the scariest thing I'd ever done, but I knew it was time because God had showed me. But afterwards, that was just surreal to me that I was leaving there for the last time that quickly, just that suddenly. And it was kind of like an oh crap moment. I was like, oh man, this is for real. It's all on me now. And so I was like, that first probably a few days, I was overwhelmed with everything that I needed to do. And now I need to ramp up marketing more. I'm my own bookkeeper. I'm doing everything. I'm looking at properties, acquisitions, contracts, dispositions, everything. I was in the middle of a flip too, actually, at the time. So now going back, now I've got the fear of quitting my job, what that looks like. Let's go into the fear of doing my first deal. My mentor, actually, I found my first deal. It was a flip. I found it on Craigslist, actually. Somebody did a really, really vague post, no pictures. I called them up. It said need to sell. And I called them up and I said, hey, what's going on? What's left with this property? What's the address? And so I looked it up, looked up the comparable properties, what retail would sell for. And I pulled the trigger. I had opened up a bunch of lines of credit. I pulled a bunch of cash off of them. And I paid for that house with cash from credit cards, 0% interest credit cards. The only thing I paid for was balance transfer fees, which is like 3 to 5%. And so I had a year to year and a half to do whatever I wanted with that money over and over again. So I bought my first flip, paid for the rehab with it. I was all in about 61, had my broker put it on the market because I wasn't an agent at the time, and sold it for 90 and netted probably $21,000 on a deal where I spent none of my own money. So, but that first deal, it was scary because, my contract, I had a contract drafted, but it was my first time talking to a seller, and you're trying to, you just like stumbling through your words, and you're like, oh gosh, did I buy a right deal? But I had my mentor actually come and look at the property also. He said, yeah, it might be a little higher than we should, but it looks like a pretty good property, just cosmetic. And so the next fear is managing people. Because people can be challenging, especially when you deal with contractors. You've got people that, we want convenience. We want people who are fast and convenient and basically our one-stop shop. So I entrusted one guy to do most of the work on it. And he could do some stuff, and some stuff he didn't do so well. I had to actually call in one of my plumbers, another plumber that I worked with and knew, to finish the job because it wasn't done right by this one guy. So, there's the crippling fear of the what if this doesn't go right, what if that. And my advice to anybody facing that fear is don't let the what ifs stop you from what you could do. Okay. What if you're successful? Okay, then what? But what if you fail? So what? Get up and do it again. Don't let, part of gaining experience and part of being successful is you're going to fail at some point. Okay. There's going to be a point where you have a failure. I had one this year on a flip. Actually, I'm losing money on first time, but it's also with a partner. So I won't get too deep into that, but that's just part of business, man. You're going to have a failure here and there, but learn from it. It's not completely failure if you learn from it and apply it to the next deal or the next time you do something. So if you feel like you're being called to something that's scary, there's probably a good chance it's because God's calling you there. And anything he calls you to is going to be a test of your faith, but that's where he wants you to grow, is in your faith in him.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love your analysis on you just went for it. And the whole credit card thing, it's funny. I was thinking how I did real estate back in the day. My first couple were cash deals, OPM, other people's money, and then home equities. And TD Bank was great for home equities back in the day. And home equity, next property. And you say credit cards. I'm like, oh man, I never did that. And actually I did that 9 years ago when I started this vending company that I'm running. 100,000 in credit cards, but you need to do it the right way. We're not saying, hey, yeah, run up your credit cards that are 25%. Find the offers, which is super awesome. So I appreciate the advice on that, which is cool. But think about this. Think about, guys, everything that Henry just said. If you would have stayed at your job for another, I don't know, you probably would have retired another 10, 20 years or whatever. Actually, my post office guy came up, rolled up. He's like, yo, I'm out. I'm like, excuse me, Kerry? He's like, I'm retiring. And I was like, how many years you got in? He's like, 40. Can I be honest? He looks like he had more than 40 years in, man. I was like, dude, enjoy yourself. God bless. That is awesome. But as he drove off, like I'm in my driveway in shorts and he's working and I'm just kind of like chilling. It was an easy day, because we do our own, schedules, which is awesome. But think about this. You wake up at 90 years old and you said it. We're going to fail. We're going to succeed. But that's going to be your story. Seriously, you're 90 years old and we're talking about this. If you would have stayed at your job another 20 years, I was at so-and-so for 40 years. That story sucks. I'm sorry I said that.
Well, I mean, it's the truth, and if you want that freedom, you want that wealth, you want that ability to give back to the community a lot more than you can give when you're working for somebody else. I mean, you got to step out of your comfort zone. I mean, entrepreneurship is where it's at when it comes to that kind of freedom, but you got to be willing to work really hard, especially at the beginning. And eventually, if you want to scale a business, you got to learn it really well first so that you can teach people and then delegate those tasks, to others. And that's what I'm working on now. I've got a virtual assistant actually that works for me in the Philippines doing calls for me. But yeah, man, I didn't want to look back when I'm 60, 70, 80 years old and wonder, gosh, what if, I'd rather be crushed by failure than be crushed by regret, I don't know. To me, I mean, I should have done this a long time ago. I really should have. Believe it or not, I wish I had started back in 2008 when the real estate market was falling, because the opportunities there were ridiculous to pick up properties at a monstrous discount. And so, if and when that does happen again, I'm going to be ready and going to have a lot of cash on hand to pick up properties for pennies on the dollar. And there's a lot of investors that feel that way. Some don't, but it's really, that's all speculation at this point. Time's going to tell on that. But yeah, don't let that fear cripple you.
Absolutely. And the whole speculation, I totally get it. I follow Harry Dent, and literally the reason I went and pretty much liquidated everything, because he's been really on, especially after what happened in '08. And he said, a lot of his books, and he quoted just, '08 was a little speed bump compared to where we're going to be. But you got bailouts and you got a lot of government stuff that we really can't see and understand on a whole nother level. But I think it's going to come again, and you need to be ready. Man, dude, some just amazing. I'm so glad we did this. I so appreciate your time. Talk to me, and I'm hoping I'm going to get the right answer, because I didn't really talk to you about this. Talk about, you got 2 kids, 2 boys, correct?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yep.
Talk to me about, and I love doing this with my kids. Do you share you being an entrepreneur with your kids? Are they involved in any way, or is it like, hey, I do my thing over here, and kids, you stay over there?
They're involved sometimes. It's sporadic. I mean, they're not involved in the day to day, but every now and then I do involve them. I will, I'll do promotions with them, or on my website, there's a picture of all of us together. Sellers are the kind of sellers I deal with. They're usually very distressed, and so they're naturally going to be a little paranoid too of who they can trust. If they see that they're going to do business with somebody who has a family, and there's full disclosure about that, and they're on the website, and they can look me up and see that I'm a veteran and all that good stuff, that's building your credibility. So yeah, I do involve my kids and even my wife. Sometimes my wife actually wants to join me in the business eventually. So that's probably down the line. But actually I didn't pay my kids. One time there was a hot deal I wanted to go look at. I had to look at it right then, because the numbers looked really good to me. And my wife wasn't around, so I took the kids with me in the car. I said, hey, kids, you guys want to make some money with me? Just go and look at this property. So I paid them $1 each, and they were just thrilled. Like, what? Really? Okay. Okay. So now they're like, man, I want to do what Daddy does when I grew up. That's what they tell their mom and me. And I like to do what Dad does. That looks pretty cool. So yeah, that's kind of my story, how I involve them. A little bit here and there.
That is so important. I think, and I see a lot of fathers out there, hey, Dad's, profession is separate and we'll do stuff. But when you're, taking them, are they going to be entrepreneurs when they get older? I mean, that's in God's hands. But I remember growing up, my dad, his first opening with his first supermarket, I remember setting and doing the ribbon cutting. And, having my skateboard, I was 8 years old, and the floors were just put down before all the shelving was in. I mean, It was so cool. I can give you so many, even when he had break-ins and I was in my 20s, 2:00 in the morning. Hey, you want to take a ride with me? They broke into the store. Let's go see what's going on. Just stories like that, especially with being an involved dad. And I know you are, dude, that's not going to be like, oh, we went to Disney World, or we went to this big expensive, or it's going to be like, man, my dad, we went to see a real estate transaction, or we were right there. My dad took me to real estate transactions, which was cool. Hey, we're buying another house, or we're doing this. And dude, that's huge. And I'm so glad you're doing that with your kids and your wife and getting them involved. And the whole distressed buyer, I totally get it, man. If they're seeing a good family guy, veteran, appreciate you for your service. So let's, I know we're kind of running tight on time here, but let's do this. So we're wearing our business shirts. So let's talk seriously, guys out there, ladies out there, who's ever listening. If you're going to be in business, number one, you got to open this. You got to tell people about your business. Yes. You've been awesome at that, give me a call, and it's funny, the last message I got from you last week, and I'm like, and I almost asked you, but I will ask you, I was like, okay, and I looking for deals, been there, done that. I still do it, but I got that. And I'm like, wonder if he sent that out to everyone on his contact list. But here's the deal. Talk to us about being in business, being a professional, and being a good marketer and looking the part and marketing the part.
Okay. I tell you, being a successful person in business, you got to really be good at a couple of things. Marketing, because what I do, especially with distressed properties, finding a good deal that makes sense. That's the hardest part. Everything else is easy. The rehab's easier. Getting it sold, managing contractors, believe it or not, it's easier than finding a deal. But finding a deal is absolutely the hardest thing right now, especially in this market. Second thing, to be really successful in what you do, you got to network like crazy. You got to go to networking events, tell everybody what you do. I tell everybody that I buy distressed houses, doesn't matter where it's at, pretty much 4 counties around here. You just got to get that word out there constantly, where you're marketing, hand out business cards. I'll leave business cards at restaurants in my waiters check bathrooms on the mirrors where people wash their hands, or everybody's going to see it. I will leave it there. I'll leave one on the table. I'll leave one in grocery stores. Everywhere that you can imagine. Then I do Facebook ads. I post on Craigslist. Have a website that's ranking really high in Google on the first page. So there's so many different ways. There's so many different ways to reach people now with technology at your hands and at your disposal. So the best way you can market and be successful is you've got to understand your audience, right? Most people that I deal with, sellers, they're either older, or they're distressed landlords, or they're facing bankruptcy, foreclosure, divorce. They're behind on payments, or they're, for whatever reason, they're having some kind of financial trouble, or they inherited a property. And so you've got to target those people in different ways. You've got to, older people or more old school. So they'll respond better to stuff in the mail or getting a phone call. Your younger generation is more responsive to text and, social media and that kind of stuff. So you've got to try all those marketing mediums and see what gives you the greatest return for your dollar, especially for the audience you're targeting. So that's key, man. That's key. Really, those two things, networking and marketing. If you can kind of stumble your way through the rest, but if you get really good at those two things, you'll get more business than you can handle. It's especially challenging for real estate investors, though, to get those kind of leads consistently all the time. We're not a steady paycheck like a job anymore. It's totally different. You could have a killer month and then 1 month is dry. So yeah. You got to kind of keep that stuff in mind when you're budgeting too.
Absolutely. It's almost like, if you're not going to market, if people don't know what you're offering or your service, it's almost like you and I are going to go in business, brick and mortar, right on Sadler, right here on the island. And we're just going to put this awesome store together, but we're not really going to put a sign out front. And dude, we're going to kill it, man. People are going to be like, oh, I really want to go to that place. It's ridiculous. If you're in business, people need to know. You're not going to bug people. I always thought that back in the day. Oh, I don't want to bug people. I have a landscaping company. But when they need a landscaper and they know you're a landscaper or a real estate investor, one of my favorite stories, and then right after this, we'll get into the rapid fire, is a friend knew what I was doing. She would always ask questions. 3 years down the road, she called me, distressed, just got divorced, older lady up in Philly. And she's like, Ray, she's like, I need to get out. I'm done. I need to get rid of my property. I'm like, what are we talking? She's like, 20 grand. And I'm like, I didn't even flinch. Like I knew the area. The area was going between like 90 and 110. And I'm like, are you home? And she's like, yeah, I'm home. I was like, I'll be down 20 minutes. I literally cut a check for 20 grand, dude. And I went down. I literally went on, and I don't know how it is nowadays, but I had a contract, like a pretty simple contract, sign here, got it notarized the next day or whatever. And I was just like, but if she didn't know, or I didn't express it, hey, I'm a landlord, I have rentals, I do this, that wasn't easy. And by the time I sold that property, I think I got maybe 180 for it. Yeah. A couple years down the road, I rented it out just as is. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I did nothing to it. I think I might have put a roof on it. It's crazy. Yeah. Love deals like that.
Yeah, man. It's just, somebody knows, and you might get a referral years later. I mean, that's a great story, Ray. Thanks for sharing that. You never know. Somebody you told a few years back might end up doing business with you later, and it could be one of your biggest deals. So yes, don't underestimate the power of networking. It's killer.
And you gotta, and if you're in business, you know, I was laughed at when I got the handyman shirts. But if I'm going into a person's house, they see me professional. Yes, I wear shorts, but you know, kind of clean, you know, looking and nicer clothes, nicer tools. People are going to be like, yo, man, you need to hire so-and-so. You need to hire so-and-so. Look at it. Because you see what the competition is and you want to rise above. You want to be a little better. If you're going to have signs, every time I do a job, I throw a sign out front. Wow, that's pretty cool. No one else is doing that. You know, people that buy real estate, and I love the shirt, dude. It's huge. You need to just kind of twist it, tweak it, be awesome at what you do. And the blessings are going to be there, man. Guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
You got to put it in the numbers. I love real estate. And I don't know if they change, but you look at 100 properties, you know, you put a bid on 5 or 6 and you may get 1 or 2. That was Robert Kiyosaki's numbers. And I always did that.
That's about right. Yeah.
So cool. Well, hey, let's rapid fire it real quick. If you don't like the question, click off, get off the app, and we can be done. No, don't do that. But okay, favorite book right off the bat.
Oh man, the Bible for sure. I get a lot of inspiration from that, and then the book Traction for the business side.
Traction. Who's the author? We know who the Bible is.
Oh man. Let's see. I think I've got it. Hang on.
Excellent. Go for it.
Okay.
So the first time somebody actually got up and got the book. Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Gino Wickham, man, this is great. You know, it's about getting a grip on your business so it doesn't have a grip on you. Just some really great inspiration in there, how to set goals and then smash those goals and then set them higher. I mean, it's just great. You know, I probably need to read this book again just as a reminder because I read it earlier this year, but I could use a refresher. Sometimes, man, you just don't absorb everything when you read a book one time.
Amen.
Really
Amen. I totally agree. How about favorite husband moment?
Okay, yeah, I got one. All right, so me and my wife were out on a date, actually at the Mexican restaurant here in Yulee, and we were messing around. There was a funny Mexican song on, and so I started like just messing with my wife and just like serenading her in Spanish or acting like I was singing in Spanish, and then I didn't realize the waiter had walked up. And he was like, "Oh, okay, here's your food," and it was so awkward. But my wife just like started cracking up. She couldn't stop laughing. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm crying. That was so funny." You got caught.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's the first one that came to my mind. That was hilarious though.
And you're a great singer, so you probably pulled it off pretty good, dude.
Yeah, but I wasn't trying. Like it was like being funny singing. So that's the worst. Like when you're like caught by somebody you don't know doing it. It's like, oh, okay, hey.
Yes, messing up their music. I get it. How about number 4, favorite dad moment?
Favorite dad moment? Gosh, there's a lot. Okay, maybe I think when my youngest son Liam had called me and left me a voicemail while I was at work, and he was like probably 2 or 3, and he just in his little like toddler voice he said, "Hey, Dad, I love you. I want you to come home." And I mean, just like those moments are so precious. Like you just can't ever go back. So all you have is the recording of that or video recording of them saying that kind of stuff. That's probably one of my favorites is that voicemail. I have it. I still have it.
That is awesome. And I'm glad you're enjoying all the stages. I encourage fathers, like whether they're week old, 15 years old, don't miss it. Cause all of a sudden they're 20, 25, they may be out of the house and you're going, what in the world? But yeah, great job with that, man. It's just a little experiences like that, man, you know, and just rocking the dad thing. That is awesome. How about a favorite, what was I thinking moment?
Yeah, real estate. It was one deal that I bought from another investor, and it was kind of a funky layout. And I mean, it just, after looking at the numbers after I bought it, which is obviously the wrong way, I looked at the numbers again. I was like, yeah, this doesn't work. So I tried to sell it for 3 months. And I reached out to the investor. I said, "Hey, man, you got anybody that would buy this back?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure. I'll send it out." And Yeah, I got it sold. I actually made some money from an earnest money deposit that another investor had failed to perform on that
Mm.
property. And so I actually ended up making some money out of a deal that I never did anything to. So but that was like, yeah, what was I thinking? Why did I buy that? It's just not in the best area, too much expense on the rehab. And so I learned a lesson and didn't lose money there, which is great. I made some. But yeah, that was probably my what was I thinking moment, and especially in real estate. That was it.
And you're going to have them. I
Yeah.
remember being in an auction, and it was so exciting. My first time at an auction, I literally bought a place, didn't want to buy. It was horrible. And I literally like lost my $3,000, but whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't come on out on top like you did. Two more questions. Share one piece, and dude, you've laid down so many awesome nuggets, man. I greatly appreciate it. But how about one closing piece of game-changing advice you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Okay. You got to find out. You got to find out what God's calling you to in life. What purpose is He calling you to? What gifts has He blessed you with? For me, it's being a provider for my family and being that provider to bless others. And I felt like He called me to real estate so I could be a bigger provider. He could provide blessings through me to others. And so, I mean, it's always something I've been good at, is being the one that provides and being prepared. My wife even says for hurricanes, like, man, you're the most prepared person in the world I've ever seen. Like, we had everything, comforts of home, generator, all that stuff, and we lived like it didn't even happen. So you got to find out what gifts God has blessed you with, and then what He's calling you to do with those. And then once you figure that out, it's getting your mindset right. Mindset is everything. If your mindset's not right to being successful, you fear this, or you fear something so much that you're not willing to invest the money or the time into something. Your mindset will cripple you. It will hold you back from your potential. I mean, I can't stress that enough. It was a hard lesson for me to learn at first. It was like, man, how do I do this? Should I spend that? Ooh, I don't know. Should I hold on to this money? This right here will mess everything up if you don't have it right, and you don't have it open to learning from others how to get that mindset right. That's key. Having an open mind and learning from others who've been through it, so they can talk you through it. That's key. That's part of the importance of having a great network of people that are where you want to be successfully.
Absolutely. And that's huge advice, that mindset, especially when you're getting crushed.
Yeah.
I love my sports background. I love me playing competitive hockey for so many years, but here's the deal. I didn't win every game. I got my teeth literally knocked out at 30. It's just, you're going to get your butt handed to you a lot in investing in real estate. I mean, I wiped out in 08, man. I'm pretty excited to write a book about it. Millionaire to zeroaire and, no time at all. It was insane, but it's all part of the game. I look back and I'm like, I'm glad I was involved in that straight up in Vegas. Did it suck? I got wiped out? Absolutely. But I got a great story for the kids getting back into the game, and things like that. It's that mindset instead of, putting your tail between your legs and just, going home saying, oh, I quit because I lost a game. Dude, it's life, man. The mindset to be strong and just to do that, man, is just awesome. Well, hey, man, dude, you've been incredible. You've been awesome. Where can people do transactions, find out what you're selling, what you're buying, and find out more about Crazy Henry? Crazy Henry,
Okay.
That's a new nickname for you.
Well, it's on my shirt too, but yeah, if you guys want to find me, or you've got a distressed property that you want to sell, whether it's land, mobile home, single family, multifamily, doesn't matter. I'll take a look at it. You can reach out to me at www.henrybuyshomes.com. That's HENRY and then BUYS homes.com. Or you can fill out the form there, or you can call the number on that website. But I will take a look at anything and everything. Even if you don't have one, if you know a family, a friend, a coworker that is going through something, they just need to sell a property quickly for whatever reason. It doesn't really matter what it is. I'll gladly take a look at it. And even if you don't do business with me, I can point you in the right direction, maybe to another option that might work better for you. So I love helping people out, even if they don't do business with me. That's just part of what I do.
Love that. Henry, dude, totally awesome. And hey, guys out there, if you're just need some encouragement from, Henry or myself, reach out to us, man. If we can give you that pep talk about the side hustle and get you through that mental block of just, man, it's time to rock and not be 90 years old going, wow, I missed it. We don't want that story at 90. We want to hear all the craziness and all the valleys and all the mountaintops and all that stuff. Henry, totally appreciate you, brother. Have a great day, man.
Awesome. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate it.